Hello and welcome to another video. In today's video we are continuing with our 3 Rideamatics project, and today we're going to be doing some investigation into the engine on the orange 1962. You may recall from previous videos that we've kind of outlined a few of the issues around this engine before. The main one being that it has absolutely no compression, and when you turn it over, it spins backwards again afterwards and kind of rocks for a bit, which is really not very good. Now, we've already had a poke around in the inlet port and shone a torch through the exhaust pipe, or what's left of it here, to look into the exhaust port, and what we found from that is that the inlet valve does move as it should do, whereas the exhaust valve is stuck, which is a common cause of a lack of compression on these engines. However, that wouldn't be the cause of this swinging backwards and forwards. That would probably be the piston being disconnected from the crankshaft, so we've got a full teardown to do on this engine to see if it's even viable or not. But as you can see, it is pretty covered in oil, mainly on the back side here, which would make it very unpleasant to work on. So what we're going to do first is take this outside, cover up any kind of holes like exhaust, the inlet manifold, stuff like that. Cover all of those up and give it a wash. We've got the tractor outside now, and we've put some degreaser on everything. So we've got the pressure washer out as well, and we'll see how much this grease and oil we can take off. The tractor fully cleaned up now, and we used the air line over it just to dry off a bit, and then left it to dry the rest. As you can see, plenty of original gold paint there that's come up, and some of it, the orange, has come off and there's blue underneath, so it appears that it was painted gold, then someone put blue on it, then someone put this kind of orange colour onto it. But anyway, that's got some nice gold up there. However, with it being all clean, it's given us a chance to kind of prod about with it a bit and notice a couple of issues. Now, before, the lift lever wouldn't actually go all the way back, it kind of got stuck part way, which was because part of it was bent, which we've actually just quickly unbent, and that works fully now. Obviously, we probably want that off the tractor to make sure that that is as it should be now, but it works, so that's better than it was. Then the second thing is definitely a lot more difficult, seeing as it includes the gearbox, which the gear pattern on this tractor is high, neutral, reverse, neutral, and low. Then obviously you have your speed adjustment on the Rideamatic there. But when it comes to the gearbox here, if I spin this in neutral, that does what you would expect it to do, which is nothing. And that's the same in the other neutral. If I move that over to reverse, there we are, and turn that, you can see the wheels go backwards as you would expect. Now, if I move that back to neutral, free again, whereas if I move that into high, I can't actually turn that. That appears to be seized solid. And we've actually tested this in low range too, and it's seized there as well. So when it comes to the forwards gears, and when you try and drive them, it doesn't work. So there's clearly something going on in that gearbox that we do not like the look of. So we haven't a clue what it is yet, but that will need stripping down to try and find the issue. But it's a good thing that we spotted it now, rather than doing up this engine or putting in a different engine or something, putting all the Rideamatic on, starting it up, chucking it into gear and just trying to drive it, because that would have broken something if that is completely stuck. But that's something to look at a later date. We did say today we'd be looking at the engine, so we're going to get on with that. We've decided to take a few of the bits off while it's on the tractor. First of all being the pulley on here. So I'm going to very gently use the impact driver for this. I don't want to go too kind of harsh on those threads, because obviously these are steel bolts into aluminium, I think. There we are. It's two. That's all of that off, and we'll take this little kind of grate bit off. In theory, this should just pull off, but there might be a bit of a kind of seal on it, which might need a bit of levering off. We've got the pulley off now. That only took a few seconds to pry off with the screwdriver gently, and I'm going to use a ratchet for some of these other bolts, just so I've got a better feel for them. Don't want to cause any more damage to the threads than might have been done in the past. Now, we were actually having a conversation as we were prying off that pulley about how obviously there's something badly wrong in the engine, possibly something with the con rod being snapped or something like that, and then we've just found out those issues with the back axle. We were wondering maybe whether they were linked at all and one caused the other, which we were thinking if that back axle seized in gear, then you would assume that maybe the belts would slip or the chain would break first or something like that. But in theory, if neither of those two things happened, we're trying to work out, would the engine just kind of stall under kind of the load of trying to turn a seized gearbox, or might it cause some sort of internal damage to the engine, as has kind of been done to it already. It's all part of the mystery of this tractor, but I guess we'll only really know once we kind of take the engine apart a decent amount. But I'm going to continue getting the rest of these engine cowling bolts off, and we can take apart the engine. That's the first bit of tin work off. Those fins look quite rusty, a bit crusty, not too much debris in them though. Actually, there's a bit of dust and stuff in there. But I'll just continue going around the rest of these to try and get them off, and we'll be back with you in a minute. We have all of the bolts off now, but I thought we'd do the final reveal on camera just in case there's any wildlife or anything behind here. But other than being, well, it's just a few cobwebs and stuff really. General muck, not too much dirt and stuff though, so it's not that bad to be fair. That's that off. Now I will just put the impact on this to try and get this crankshaft nut off. There we are, that's that off. And what we'll do now is we will put a tap through these two threads here, and then we'll get our puller out, and we'll come back to you in a minute, see if this will be an easy pull or not. We have the puller all set up now, so moment of truth, let's see if this is going to come off easily or not. Oh, there we are. That is off. Pull off. Ooh. That coil looks in remarkable condition, I would say, compared to the one from the other 62 Rideamatic that was all cracked up, and you can actually still see the Bendix logo and stuff on there. We were very happy to see the state of this coil, because all of the other ones with this type of coil that we've seen are badly cracked and damaged, whereas this I think is a replacement one, and it's a genuine Bendix one too, so that's very good. Hopefully by the time this came out they'd ironed out the problems that meant they kind of cracked and went in the bin, so that's very good. Then we took off the points cover to have a look at that, have a look at the gap, and that was pretty much non-existent. We've opened it up to about 20 thou now, hooked up our spark tester, put the ignition key on, and if I turn this over I'll let you judge for yourselves, but to us that looks like there is a spark in there. So I mean, that's one positive thing about this engine, even if there isn't it, or even if there's something bad going on with the piston and stuff. If we could solve that, the rest of the ignition system appears to be in good state. The next step logically would be to take the head off, which would be the final thing we'd be doing with the engine mounted to the tractor still. However, while we're doing that, we thought we would drain the engine oil kind of at the same time, because what we'd like to do some point after taking the head off is drop the sump off, so that we can kind of look in from the bottom of the engine, tip it up, and see what's going on with this whole piston business. However, obviously, have a look at how much oil is in there first, which level is relatively low in there. I'll just drop that down there. So there we go. Just wind this off and hope we've positioned the bucket in the right place. There we are. Just move that back a bit. So we'll let this drain now, and what we can be doing is start having a look at these head bolts and get the spanner ready to take them off. We have actually gone ahead and done the first bit of the head bolts off camera here, because we were a bit worried about the rusty state of them, especially this one by the exhaust pipe, which was the hardest to get off. That took quite a bit of torque and stuff on there to get that off, but now they're all loose, I'll just go around and whip them right the way out on each of them. Then I'll take them out, take them all off with the head. And I believe we already did that one. Yep. So in theory, this head should come off now. There we are. Ooh, got some crusty stuff in there. And trying to look on the underside of the head here. There's a bit of carbon and other muck and stuff. I'm not sure what that is, but
oh dear, look at that.
Yeah, there's plenty of stuff on there. I'll just put this over here on the table quickly. And we can see the inlet valve there, piston, and the exhaust valve. Now I'll give this a spin and we'll see what moves. There we are, the inlet valve moved. As we expected, the exhaust valve did not. I did have a screwdriver around here a minute ago. Oh, there it is, thank you to my cameraman. As we suspected, that is rock solid seized. And also, in case you hadn't noticed, piston not going anywhere. So, and that's actually kind of seized part way up. It's stroke, there you are. Probably need to take my gloves off to feel if there's a lip there. There's kind of a visual lip there. Obviously the head gasket's still on there, so I need to get that off. But yeah, not sure where all this muck came from. We've had a quick clean up and it's revealed a few things. Now there's some pretty bad rust damage between the two valves and on top of the inlet valve here, and we believe that this maybe didn't have a spark plug on it for quite a while and someone chucked that random one in just to stop the damage, but clearly the weathering did still take its toll. Something else we noticed is that that exhaust valve isn't exactly stuck anymore, it's just quite tight in there, so at least that's still not rusted solid. Now we spotted some markings on the top of the piston, 0.010, so that is 0.010 of an inch oversized. However, another thing that we noticed, that spins around, which it probably shouldn't do, and it has actually sunk down a bit as we've been kind of spinning it round a bit. But obviously, to investigate what's really going on there, we need to, as we said before, tip it completely over, take the sump off and stuff like that. That oil is pretty much finished draining now, so we'll put the sump plug back in and then we will take the engine off the tractor. It is just 4 bolts. These two at the front are already loose because we had to take them off to take the grill off. So we'll get the other ones off, hoik the engine out and get it on the bench. We have the engine on the bench here and I'll just start trying to get these bolts off, which, I mean, they're not finger tightness, but that one was certainly quite loose. Same with that, I would have expected that to be tighter, to be honest. Yeah, I'm not too sure about all of these. They appear to be pretty loose. Or looser than I'd expect. So, effectively what I'm going to do now is go around all of these, take them fully out, and then we're going to lift the engine off the sump, hopefully leaving any damaged debris or oil stuffs or oil residue and stuff in the sump, and then kind of lift it up and tip it over and put it on these rubber pads. They are to kind of lift it off the table to protect the governor and also protect the valves, seeing as this is a relatively soft surface, I guess, or softer than wood anyway. So I'll just keep taking these off and we'll come back to you in a minute and see what we can see. We have most of the engine inverted now, and you can see what the problem is. If we go over to the sump, you can see there's what's remaining of the big end. Should be 2 bolts in here, which you can kind of see. There's one of them, still in the thread. There's the thread for the other one. Not fully sure where the rest of that bolt is, but we'll go fishing in it here at some point to get all of the bits of the big end out. Now, if we look down here, you can see the rest of the con rod down there still attached to the piston. It's kind of difficult to see. Am I standing where you need to be, or? There you go, you can see the kind of snapped end of the con rod down there, and the piston, which got some strange discolouring on it. It's kind of gone orangey red in places, and a very scored crankshaft there with a bit of rust on it as well. Now, honestly, I don't think we had a next step planned because we weren't fully sure what the story was in here. But since time is getting on a bit and we now know the full story with this engine, we're going to go away and do some planning and work out where we're going to go next with this engine. But with that said, this is probably as far as we want to go today. So this is it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.